What if the very sky above us wasn't free at all, but controlled? For decades, people have whispered about a facility hidden deep in the icy wilderness of Alaska, a place with massive antenna arrays reaching for the heavens, a place known as HAARP, the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Officially, it's described as a scientific project to study the ionosphere, the mysterious layer of Earth's atmosphere that interacts with solar radiation. But for millions of skeptics, HAARP is no ordinary research station. To them, it is a weapon, a tool of global power. Imagine hundreds of giant antennas spread across the frozen ground, working together to send powerful radio waves straight into the sky. The official line? It's all about communications, satellite technology, and studying the northern lights. But the theories suggest something far darker. What if those waves could manipulate weather patterns? What if they could heat the atmosphere until storms formed, steering hurricanes like weapons of war? What if the Earth itself could be shaken, triggering earthquakes in uncooperative nations? The origins of HAARP are shrouded in secrecy. Launched in 1993, during a time when America's military dominance was being challenged, the project immediately sparked curiosity. Why build such an enormous and expensive array of antennas just to study the sky? And why were so many of the scientists and funders connected to the U.S. military? Conspiracy theorists point to disasters that seem too convenient to be natural. Earthquakes that struck countries after political conflicts. Hurricanes that devastated regions while others were mysteriously spared. Could these be mere coincidences, or the fingerprints of a hidden machine in Alaska? The unsettling truth is that even mainstream scientists admit HAARP does have the power to heat parts of the ionosphere. And in theory, heating the upper atmosphere can ripple downward, affecting weather systems below. So the question isn't whether it's possible. The question is, how far have they already gone? In 2010, Haiti was struck by one of the deadliest earthquakes in modern history. Over 200,000 lives were lost in mere moments. But almost immediately, whispers began to spread. Was this really natural? Some conspiracy circles claim the quake was triggered deliberately, a test of HAARP's ability to cause tectonic chaos. Why Haiti? Skeptics point to its strategic location in the Caribbean, near vital shipping routes and rich mineral resources. To them, the earthquake was more than tragedy. It was a demonstration of power. Then came Hurricane Katrina in 2005, a storm that tore through New Orleans and left a trail of devastation. Could it have been amplified, or even guided, by weather manipulation? Some theorists believe Katrina's path was unnaturally precise, and that the destruction conveniently reshaped an important economic hub. Again, coincidence or control? And the theories don't stop at America's enemies. In 2011, Japan was devastated by the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, which crippled the Fukushima nuclear plant. Soon after, voices emerged online claiming HAARP had a role, that this catastrophe was punishment, or perhaps a warning, to one of the world's most technologically advanced nations. Skeptics argue, nature is unpredictable, chaotic, and cruel enough on its own. But believers counter. The timing of these disasters often seems politically aligned. A country resists global influence, then disaster strikes. A rival grows too powerful, and suddenly the ground shakes or storms arrive. To fuel the mystery further, strange sky phenomena have been reported before and after major disasters. Mysterious glowing lights in the clouds, unusual colors, and bizarre auroral effects, all said to be signatures of ionospheric tampering. Could these be signs of a hidden machine at work, sending invisible waves into the heavens, bending nature to human will? If HAARP were merely a scientific curiosity, the whispers would have faded. But the fear runs deeper. Some claim the same ionospheric trickery that could nudge a weather system might also be used to bend human minds, to broadcast voices to induce anxiety, to sow confusion on a continental scale. The image is cinematic. Invisible radio waves sweeping across cities, people hearing phantom commands, populations becoming pliant under a silent, electrical hand. Technically, it's true that electromagnetic fields can interact with biological tissue. In controlled laboratory settings, researchers can stimulate neural activity using magnetic pulses. Militaries around the world have long studied non-lethal psychological weapons, methods to incapacitate, disorient, or demoralize an opponent without firing a shot. That reality gives the blue sky scenarios a terrifying plausibility. If the tools exist at small scales, could they be scaled up into a grand instrument of control? But here's where fact and fiction must be sharply separated. The physics of influencing weather or minds from hundreds of miles away is brutal and unforgiving. To heat the ionosphere enough to create large-scale weather effects would require energy orders of magnitude beyond publicly acknowledged HAARP outputs. Transmitting a coherent language-like signal into many distinct human brains simultaneously, each with different neurological wiring, languages, and contexts, is a problem that current neuroscience and engineering simply cannot solve in a reliable, predictable way. And then there is the social problem of secrecy. A program capable of staging earthquakes or puppeteering thoughts would not remain hidden. The infrastructure, the funding, the launches, the failures, all would leave trails. Whistleblowers, leaked documents, independent measurements. Conspiracies this large collapse under their own size because too many people would need to keep quiet. So what is the real danger? Not a single doomsday box in Alaska, but a cascade of smaller, more believable harms: secrecy, militarized science, and the erosion of public trust. When governments fund classified research with little oversight, suspicion fills the gap. When scientists communicate poorly, the public fills the silence with stories. When natural disasters happen, people crave explanations. And in that hunger, complex science becomes a canvas for fear. There's also the policy danger. If nations come to believe others possess weather or mind weapons, arms races can follow. Imagine states investing billions to develop countermeasures, weaponized climate engineering, or offensive electromagnetic capabilities. The result would not be a neat, controllable technology, but instability, miscalculation, and an increased chance of real catastrophe. So where does that leave us? The sensible path is not panic, but accountability. We should demand transparency for dual-use technologies, robust international norms against environmental and neural interference, and independent verification of claims. Journalists, scientists, and citizens must work together, testing assertions with data, exposing secrecy where it risks harm, and resisting the easy slide from skepticism into outright cynicism. HAARP, the name, will continue to spark imaginations because it sits at the intersection of power, science, and secrecy. Whether it is a misunderstood research facility or a placeholder for our deepest fears, the lesson is the same. Technology magnifies intentions. In the hands of the reckless, it can harm. In the hands of the careful, it can heal. When the sky lights up with unexplained colors, will you assume malice? Or will you ask for the instruments, the data, the measurements? The difference between conspiracy and caution is evidence. Demand it, question boldly, and never trade your skepticism for a story that feels true simply because it is frightening.